police for black girl nerds.
Courtney, it is an honor. You are a masterful storyteller, and I have looked forward to this all week long. And your episodic breakdowns after the shows are like some of my favorite things ever. So thank you again for your time. Ray?
I was just going to say, it is wonderful to be interviewed by my own.
Oh, hey, hello.
I'm a black girl nerd. I am the black girl nerd.
See those kindred spirits. I'm so excited to talk to you. This is Raising Kanan is so interesting, that given that Kanan was such a polarizing character in the other parts of the universe, now we get to know the origin story and where he comes from and what has influenced him. What is the jumping off point when you know the finality of what a character is what's going to happen to a character, but making it meet up with his origin?
Well, I mean, first you have to start with, he doesn't know he's going to die or how he's going to die, right? So you have to allow him to behave without your knowledge, as opposed to using your knowledge to kind of influence the character. I see that as a mistake a lot of young writers make, where we'll be in the writer's room, we already know how a character's going to die, and they'll pitch me something that kind of foretells that. And I always say, well, do they know or do we know? And there is a huge difference between what the audience knows and what the character knows. And that's where you have to start.
Mm-hmm. With this, watching these first two episodes, something that's been striking to me is here in Los Angeles, very heavily influenced by gang culture. And in the other power universes, it's influenced by club culture and just 50 himself and how he conducts his business. Is the club going to be another character? Not that they own a club like Truth, but will it serve as a vehicle for them to transact, for them to meet? How does club culture serve this story compared to the other power universes?
I think that for right now, this club is really more, the club that you see in the first couple episodes is really more about Tony Deep and the kind of crossing of white 90s culture and black 90s culture. It isn't really something that they take over or run in any way.
Mm-hmm. Makai is excellent with the nuances of his performance. You can see those shades of adult Kanan starting to sort of manifest early, even though he's still, a kid and he's sweet and he has his beginnings. What was it about Makai that was so striking to you that he was your young Kanan?
I mean, did you look at him? No, honestly, like, he came in and he was so prepared and he knew exactly what he wanted to do and he knew exactly what he was doing. And he just had such great energy, compassion, dedication. Like, he is a young king. Like, it is amazing to see. I can't wait to see what he does next, but it's going to be a long road with this, because let me tell you, he is the center and the heart of the show. You believe all of his choices. He's beyond, and he has this incredible sweetness as a human being, but he also has this incredible gravity as an actor. And you really need that, because when you're playing off of Patina Miller, you got to be in the scene. What I always say to people is, like, there are certain actors where the other person disappears. Joseph Sikora is like that, for example, who plays Tommy. He's like that. Putting people in scenes with him is so hard because he's so talented. Patina is like that, and Makai holds her and stays in place with her, and it's amazing.
She is incredible, like the other strong mothers of the power universe. Strong mothers or boss-like mothers is a very strong theme in the power universe. Why is that, do you think, a real true stabilizing force? Is it a broken home situation, or why are the mothers the strength of all of these power universes?
Well, I believe, this show, the first time I pitched Power, I had just become a mother. So I don't know how much you know about my history, but I had a baby and my father died right afterwards. So I had my daughter in January and my dad died in the first week of March. And so I went through this very quick kind of gain loss situation where my motherhood actually became part of being orphaned. They became one and the same in a lot of ways. And of course, I'm not literally orphaned, my mother's still alive, but this idea of being a fatherless daughter and then a mother to a daughter at the same time, all those things were wrapped up for me. And as I was trying to sort out what it meant to not have a father, parenting became something that grew in what I wanted to talk about. So I think that's probably the theme that you're seeing, how to be a responsible parent.
Mm-hmm. No matter what that might look like.
No matter what that might require you to do.
Absolutely. Well, Courtney, they are telling me to wrap. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Thank you so much for your time. I'm super looking forward to the rest of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Very nice jacket, MeKai. Good to talk to you today.
Thank you. How are you feeling today?
Very good, thank you. You're very so fresh and so clean.
We trying a little something. It's the countdown. It's press day. We had to do a little something, a little step out.
I love it. When I talked to Sascha and Courtney earlier, they said they knew you were their Kanan, so their young Kanan. So on that day when you went into audition for the role, what was the pre-prep for you, and what was that day for? Did you have that feeling like, I think I nailed it?
This audition process in its entirety was just new from what I've been used to, and it just felt completely different. But first two auditions I had a total of 3 auditions. First two auditions I had no idea I was even playing Kanan, or that was even raising Kanan. I just knew it was Power, and that I was a fan of Power, and that I wanted to be on Power. So that was kind of the mindset I had went in with. It was really just attacking the lines more so at that point. It was that was the main focus, and then when you add the part of it being Kanan, which they told me right before my last audition, I don't think anything in that moment had necessarily changed in terms of my approach to what I was doing. But yeah, once it was fully locked in, that's when the real work began, and it was now I'm studying Power even further with a different lens, just really trying to get some more 50s mannerisms down and understand Kanan's backstory, and how jukebox influenced that, and watching 90s movies, and that was all that sort of stuff. So once I'll say the audition process at first was more so about just getting the job, doing solid work, just trying to get on Power. And then once I was like really locked in and they said, hey, you're Kanan, that's when it turned into, okay, how do I really become Kanan? How do I really channel this essence?
Mm-hmm. In that becoming Kanan, what I enjoyed about your performance in the 2 episodes I've seen so far is the nuances of who Kanan is as an adult. You can see them start to blossom in you, but it's not an imitation. It's like a young, like a seed of Kanan that's beginning to grow. What is the fine line between embodying somebody and imitating them?
I think it also has a lot to do with, just the time period we find this Kanan in, because he's 15 years old, he's young. So, you have to give room for that character to grow, whether it is physically, all of these different things you have to give room to grow to. So, when it came to developing the younger version of him and all the different mannerisms and stuff, it again was, I wanted to keep the initial kind of intensity and responses I was bringing to the audition room, but now adding the subtleties and the nuance of this actual established character, because it is an established character. You want to have those sort of callbacks for people that know this character to relate to. And again, because it's in the bigger scope of things, in the bigger picture, this is a character that grows to this already established thing. And you want to you just want to have that constant line, the consistency.
Well, I enjoyed you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm super looking forward to the rest of the season. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much, Jeandra. Thank you. Have an amazing day.
Everyone, thank you for your time. Super excited to talk to all of you and talk about the Power Universe's expansion with Raising Kanan. London, beginning with you, when you the Power Universe is such a huge phenomena, a culture mover. When you land a role like this, what does the pre-work look like for you before you head to set, before you step into what has become just such a TV phenomena?
For me, it's just really dissecting the script and trying to figure out how does my character fit into this world. So it's just a lot of scene study stuff, and while also trying to figure out a walk, a talk, and the characteristics of this new guy.
Mm-hmm. Hailey, for you, you are stepping into a character that we've already been introduced, but you are bringing your own talents and your own point of view for this character. So what does that pre-work look like for you, since this is a character we know as an adult?
Yeah, I definitely got to do a little bit of starting with where Jukebox ends and working backwards. But I actually, once I finished going back and really dissecting Jukebox as an adult, I really tried to just forget as much of it as possible, because she's a person, you know? And so it was really just, I listened to a lot of music, a lot of 90s music, and kind of went from there.
This is me again. Jesus, I'm sorry. You came in. I was so interested in the interview. You came in killing. I did the work. Yeah, no, seriously, I did. I did the work. I start with a historical context, and then I use the texture of the time. So for me, it was very important to establish when he was born, to see how old he was when he first saw police brutality, when he first saw crack being distributed by his family members. How was his context to the world? He was birthed with hip hop. So my character was very easy because he was born he became of age the same time that hip hop was starting to burgeon. So it was very indicative of his character. It was reflective in hip hop. Whether, South Bronx, South Bronx, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was really, really a part of the Bridge Is Over. He was really at the genesis of what we would know to be hip hop. So it was very, Martin Luther King had died when he was a young person. Malcolm X died when he was a young person. These things that inform you as a man, right? That form you as a young person, see how you'll be treated in this universe was a big deal. And then, of course, like Hailey said, the music and the texture and like what he related to all became very important, but history was important first for me.
And lastly, London, to close with you, what are you most excited for when the series premiere? Is it fan reaction? Can you watch yourself on screen without going, I could have done this better? What do you look most forward to when the show premieres?
I think it would be just the idea, just the energy of all the hard work that was put into the project. Just all the early mornings, staying up late, working on the lines, filming in the snow. And so actually to have all of that, just kind of, to have it here, it's just like, cool, man. All the work wasn't done in vain, but it's actual real product. It's tangible. And I'm just glad people get to be around to see it.
I'm excited to see it because Kanan was so polarizing. So to see this part carved out is very, very exciting. Thank you, all of you, for your time. Terrific performances so far. Thank you again. Hello, Sascha. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Absolutely. Good morning. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. And I'm super excited to talk about the show and the expansion of the Power universe. When you have a character like Kanan, who was so polarizing to viewers, very, very talked about character, now it's time to build out a world of a character we already know. What is the jumping off point for kind of piecing together the origin story and what we already know of his demise?
Right. Well, I mean, first off, to your point, like, the characters you want to explore are always the polarizing characters, right? Because people have strong opinions. And when they have strong opinions, it means they're invested in the character. And certainly people were invested in Kanan as realized by 50. I think for us, Jeandra, it really, and when I say us, I mean the writers on the series, what we really, the job for us was to create a character that feels organically connected and linked to the character as realized by 50. Like, the story we're telling, we need people who are familiar with the original, who are familiar with Kanan, again, as realized by 50. We want those people to watch something, oh, I understand how he ended up the way he ended up, And yet at the same time, as you said, because people know the end of the story, you have to do it in a way that feels compelling and engaging and real, So that's the fun, and that's also the challenge of doing an origin story. You're painting on a canvas that's already pretty worn, right? And you need to make sure that your work is as good as the stuff that's already up there.
Mhm. What has been very intriguing about me is, as a West Coast person, I'm from Los Angeles, and I know how much gang culture influences Los Angeles. But on the other coast, as with the other Power universe, club culture influences everything, business deals, hanging out, and all of those different aspects. When you look at the other Power series and the settings what the club will play in this Power series, what does the club act for as a vehicle? Is it another character of the series? Because as viewers will see, they'll see some club action happening in these, at least in these opening episodes that I've seen.
There's some club stuff, but we don't have truth. We don't have what Ghost had. And this story is a little bit, it doesn't exist in quite the rarefied place that the original Power did, which I wrote on. And so I think this is a little bit more, for lack of a better word, grounded than the original Power, because we are dealing with a 15-year-old kid. I mean, at its heart, Jeandra, this is a family drama. It's a family drama set in this incredibly high stakes world, but it is a family drama, and that's what we're really leaning into here. But it's an interesting observation you made about gang culture versus club culture. It's true, and I think what New York does not have and didn't have in the 90s is a pervasive gang culture the way LA did. It's and I think part of that is a function of how the city is sort of organized in a way. But yeah, it's a super interesting observation.
And lastly, young Makai is excellent. And I watched some of the nuances of his performance and how you can see those 50 influenced things in his performance. What was that coordinating with him and 50 and just making Kanan a whole person?
Well, it's super interesting because when we auditioned actors for the role, we did not tell them it was for Kanan. The sides actually did not have Kanan's name on it because what we didn't want is actors coming in and doing some impersonation of 50. What we wanted was we want actors who came in, who read the sides and sort of, they were able to lean into what 50 leaned into in the original character, which is that, like, one of the things that people, I think, don't give 50 enough credit for is the sensitivity, the charm, the subtlety, the sense of humor that he brings to Kanan and everything, all his acting that he does. And Makai had that, and I got to be honest, like I don't know that that's something you can learn, and I'm not even sure that's something that can be taught. It's just, there's a humanity that Makai has that 50 also has. And that's just who they are, that's just who they are. And so that's what, I mean, I will tell you that when Makai came in and read, it was very clear very early that it was going to be him, because he just had that innate humanity that really felt like Kanan.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sascha, for your time. I'm super excited to see this story because I was into Kanan as well. Thank you again for your time.
Absolutely. Hey, is that your dog up there in the corner there?
Isn't that a regal beast?
That is unbelievable. That is a regal beast, and that is a portrait befitting a regal beast.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, both of you, for your time. The next installment of the Power Universe is here with Raising Kanan, and we get to know more about this character that's been so polarizing for fans. Tina, beginning with you, at the center of all of the various Power shows is a strong woman at the core, strong mother, strong businesswoman, and you continue that trend with Rock. What would you say is Rock's best qualities, and what would you say are her worst qualities?
Oh my God. I think Rock's best quality probably would be her passion, her drive, her ambition. She has been the sole provider for her entire family. She loves very hard. She loves her son very hard. She loves her family. I love her passion. I love her grit. I'm giving you a lot because there's not one best thing of her because she possesses many. I think one of the things is, I think she's still a little bit, as much as she is smart, that she has some very naive moments, especially when it comes to her son. she doesn't expect that him being 15 and starting to like ask questions, she doesn't really see at that point, like how it's going to affect her business until now she's presented with the problem here in the now, and it's how she navigates it. So, I don't think she has many. I think I love all of the things about that.
She is quite intelligent, as well as your character, Omar, Detective Malcolm, is also quite intelligent. And there's a spectrum of intelligence. She's like a Superman and a Lex Luthor. Where would you say Malcolm lies on that spectrum? Because they're both intelligent, but would you say he's closer on the spectrum with her? Where does he lie in the spectrum of intelligence with regards to Rock?
I think they're on the same plane. I think Howard and Rock are on the same plane, and that's sort of the dance that we unpack throughout the first season, is that they're both clever, cunning. It's just, how far are they willing to go, right? And it's kind of like it's one of those things, like when you draw a line in the sand, and if someone steps over the line, then what do? You got to come with consequences, or you keep drawing lines in the sand. And I think there's a dance between Rock and Howard that sort of it happens in that way, and neither one of them are aware of how far the other is willing to go.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, fans are super into origin stories of polarizing characters. Patina, your character Rock is charged with shaping part of shaping Kanan, who we know him to be later on. When you look at what he evolves into, how do you compare? How do you describe the journey between the two of them from during this season and beginning to shape him into who we know he'll become in the later Power universe? Oh no, I think we lost her. Hello?
Did we lose her?
I think she froze. She looks beautiful. Well, with Omar, with your character, with Detective Howard, he's frightening to me already, because we just don't know. We know he's wise and he's savvy to what's happening in the streets, but we don't know to what extent. What do you think as a performer, what is the nuance to kind of conveying that fear, that kind of slight fear, that not intimidating fear, but that kind of just subtle, you don't know what you might get on that day? What's the key to that for you?
That's interesting, because I think with Howard, he lives, his comfort zone is the dark side. I mean, he has a hand in everything, whether it's the streets, he comes from the streets. He's a detective, NYPD. His whole thing is about manipulating every system to his own benefit, and he's willing to go there. So it's just playing that in a way that is, sometimes he's brash and sometimes he's subtle. It's whatever the situation calls for.
So with Rock ultimately plays a big part in shaping who Kanan becomes as we get to know him in the other universes. When you look at the past shows, how does that inform you as a performer of how you want to proceed and nuance and things into being his mother and how you shape your performance?
I think, one of the things I did look at, I will say the only thing, the gift of being a new character in the series, and we're telling a new story, is that I have a clean slate. I get to create and bring to life who I want her to be. I wanted her to be completely different from what everyone knows of Kanan in the series. It's very easy to say, like, because he's this way, oh, his mom must have been da-da-da-da-da. And I could have been generic with that and said, oh, you know what, I'm going to play it like how he's playing it now. But the more interesting thing is to go into this story at the center of what this is. It's a mother and son relationship. It's a loving relationship. He was very nurtured at home. He had everything. This is a woman who had him at 15, who has been fighting for him his entire life, wanting to give him the best, as much as she is in the underworld, and she's found a way to be successful in this world and navigate the power of her business. She's also been able to be a present mom with Kanan, even if that's making sure after she's done all these things, she's going home to have dinner with him. So she's been in his life, and she's she's been that, he's never had to see like what people know of him at that point in the series. I get the beauty of trying to color the relationship and make the bond strong so that whenever he does get to the place where they know, it'll just be a very full thing. So I wanted so desperately to just infuse Rock with love and admiration. And, she revolves, like everything revolves around him, and she, they're both each other's world. And at the end of the day, I think it's an important relationship to show on TV. And I jumped at the opportunity, so.
Well, you did a beautiful job. And Omar, you're amazing as always. Thank you guys for your time. I'm ready to see the rest of it. I'm ready like right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.